1985 or so, I got a call from Dick Berenson, who was then the president of American University. And he said that a very bright young woman named Joan Abramson, who was a White House fellow, needed to come talk to me because she was thinking that we should have an economic club in Washington, D.C. We found that there were clubs in New York, in Chicago, in Detroit, and in San Francisco. At the first meeting, I believe it was really led by Bob Lenoz, who was really a visionary. Don Smiley of Exxon, John Coleman of the Fairfax Hotel, Ed Hoffman, the chairman of Woodward and Lothrop at the time, Reed Thompson from Pepco. It was important for Washington to have an institution, a forum where our business leaders would be exposed to the biggest ideas that were out there, both in the business community and in government and in academia. Harry McPherson was one of the key folks in founding the Economic Club because he was president of the Federal City Council.
I first became involved with the Economic Club of Washington when Harry McPherson, who was then its president and who was an old friend and law partner of mine, invited me to speak there. Sometime later, Harry told me that he was leaving as president and strongly encouraged me to succeed him. That I have to say it was the easiest election I ever had. I didn't have to campaign and I didn't have to spend any money.
George Mitchell and Harry McPherson, two past presidents of the club, called up and said, "Jordan, you got to do this. I've been around this town long enough to know who to say no to and who to say yes to."
I had spoken once before. I had been asked by Ann Wexler to give a speech. Then I got a call from Vernon Jordan saying in his very deep voice, "I need to see you." And so when Vernon says, "I need to see you," you absolutely go see him. So I went to his office in New York, and he locked the door and said, "I want you to be the next president of the Economic Club of Washington, and I'm not going to unlock the door until you agree to do it."
If you speak at the Economic Club of Washington, just know that you are fair game to become president.
The Economic Club of Washington is somewhat unique in the Washington area. We are in 3 different jurisdictions. We have the District of Columbia, we have Maryland, and we have Virginia.
I like its convening power.
So the opportunity to hear what people are doing in Virginia or in Maryland or the district or in government or in business is a very unique thing about the Economic Club of Washington. We try to get speakers from all walks of life, but people who particularly have something to say about public policy or economic policy or the economy or something related to that. I found the technique that worked better was to do interviews. I think that gives a better sense of their personality.
He manages to draw the speakers out and to get them to respond in ways that they never would in a formal speech.
We had Bill Gates, and I think that was a memorable interview.
The people I worked with my senior of high school said, "You should skip college and go get a PhD." And so then I went to my parents and I said, "Yeah, I think I'm going to skip college." And they said, "Well, actually, you should go to college." And that was good advice because in terms of social development, I never finished my social development, but it helped.
It's a form of continuing education, in my view.
Sometimes we get more education than we expect at the Economic Club of Washington. Sometimes we have protesters. You can imagine our mortification when at one event before Larry Summers, the protesters came up on stage. Since that event, we have stepped up our security significantly.
I was really pleased to bring 3 black chief executive officers, Frank Raines from Fannie Mae, Dick Parsons from Timing, and Ken Chenault from American Express. I remember the speech that Ken Chenault gave on branding. The next day, I shared the speech with the largest shareholder, single individual shareholder in American Express. His name is Warren Buffett. And he sent it to all of the leaders in his company and said, "Read this."
Each president has made his mark as the Economic Club of Washington has evolved.
I did order a complete review with 2 objectives. One, to increase the membership, and second, to increase the involvement of the membership with the activities of the club. They've proven to be very successful, thanks in large part to the efforts of those who succeeded me.
How did you get President Bush to come to the Economic Club? I said, it's very simple. I asked him. He said yes, and he showed up.
Thank you all. It's about time you invited the president. My only regret is Burton didn't tell me this was lunch.
When I got involved with the Economic Club of Washington, I felt that we should have a bigger impact on the District of Columbia. I thought we had an obligation to give back to the community. Therefore, I thought we should bolster a scholarship program that we had that was relatively modest. So we've done that, and now we've given scholarships to a great many D.C. public and charter high school graduates, and we help them go to college.
Currently, David Rubenstein has stepped up the programming from what used to be 5 events a year to now we're averaging 10 to 12 per year.
We have a number of other things we'd like to try to do. One of them is something we're calling executive conversations, where we have the CEO of a local company who's also a board member or a member of the Economic Club, and that person, he or she, will host in his or her boardroom members of the Economic Club who want to learn more about his or her companies.
There's a strong story to be given about the importance of capitalism in our society and democracy. Without capitalism, democracy will not exist. That's a story that needs to be further explained, and the Economic Club will help do that.
And I really want to thank my predecessors who helped build the Economic Club. I've really been the beneficiary of the considerable work that they all did in helping to build the club. Bob Linos was somebody I did know, and I admired him as a business leader. Harry McPherson was a friend of mine. I knew him for many, many years. And of course, George Mitchell and Vernon Jordan.
I really greatly enjoyed my tenure as president of the Economic Club of Washington.
I'm deeply grateful to our membership for their support over the past 25 years. It has been through their efforts that the Economic Club has evolved into the premier forum it is today.